Hello everybody out there in hairdresser land on platform. Welcome to tonight's live session in the cut with myself, Mustafa, and with my lovely, beautiful model, Gina.
Hi.
So, this evening what I'm presenting to you is a fantastic haircut. I'm just going to see who's here tonight. We have Dom Lahane and Daryl, I believe, is here. Hello, hi to all you guys. And this evening, what I'm going to be doing is I pre-cut a little bit of Gina's hair, and obviously this is not her natural hair colour, as you can tell. So we've coloured this for you as well. And I'm going to be showing you how you can have a really strong haircut that can also still be beautiful and have softness and still have connection and still be something that can be taken as a serious haircut that somebody with a good job and a life outside of the hairdressing world can still enjoy and have. So, I'm just going to talk you through a little bit of what I've been doing already. So, I saw Gina in a coffee shop last Monday, and I did not like her haircut, but I thought she looked amazing. So I grabbed her.
Thanks.
And I said, wow, you've got to let me cut your hair. And cut a long story short, we got her in, we bleached her hair up, and we had dyed it this beautiful violet colour using a professional colour. And we are now just finishing off the haircut that I started a little earlier on this evening. So I've just done the noisy bits, and we've done a little bit of clipper work around the sides to work just a nice fade, you can see. So she came in with this mohawk already in, and quite a disconnected mohawk. You can see in here, this is quite long in the crown area, and there's a big disconnection right over here. So what we want to do today is, I think this length in the top looks really cool on the fringe, but I don't think any of this looks that great at all. So I'm going to work on softening this whole area down and making this whole part here really blend into the rest of the look. So we've got a very, very strong, barbered, tailored, tapered feel through the edge. That's got a fade to it, going into a really soft, layered feel. There's still going to be disconnection at the front, so there's still going to be dynamic shape. We're going to be working a lot with Gina's hairline through here. She has a slight calf slick or cow slick at the front. So we're going to incorporate that into the shape rather than try and hide it. Because the most important part of a successful haircut is not what you do with it as a hairdresser, it's what they do with it when they're at home with their haircut. That's how you sell your services. When other people see them in the street, they go, wow. And they have that wow factor. Someone goes, wow, look at your hair. Where did you get that done? I need to go there. That is the basis of what we're doing today, is how we can bring everything that we love doing in a creative atmosphere and bringing it to the salon floor and making sure that we can supply this to our paying clients and our customers. So I'm going to stop waffling and we're going to carry on with the haircut. Please feel free to get in touch with me and we can talk about any questions that you have, anything you want to know about the cut or colour. I'll try and answer as best I can. So I'll talk you through a little bit what I'm doing. So right now I'm just combing through and I'm really looking at this very, very blatant disconnection point. Just spraying down the hair a bit to get a better idea of it. What I want to do is connect this area through the crown first. So what I'm going to do is take a forward diagonal section here. Just turn that towards you and Gina's head down so you can see that there. And I'm going to immediately move this hair in front out the way. Then work on this section here. We've got Gina's crown is about there, just pretty much on the curvature of the head. So I'm going to use that as my guide point. And what I've done is I've taken a rectangular section that works as an angle through the front top of her head. So it's further back on her right-hand side and it's further forward on the left-hand side. And I'm just sectioning the front away from that. I'm going to try to not use any clips. This is heavily bleached hair. It's quite short. I don't want to create any folds in the hair. I don't really like it. If I can avoid clips, I tend to avoid clips. Switch to a smaller comb. So smaller sections, smaller comb, really simple stuff. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work some vertical sections I'm going to use this length as a guide here, and I'm going to over direct onto that like a flat square graduation, if you like, or square layer, apologies, sorry, square layering. And then I'm going to cut straight across. So I get a lot of over direction, and I start to immediately soften that disconnection through this area here. How you feeling, Gina? You right?
Yeah.
Good. She's a real talker, this one, so you watch out.
If only you knew.
So Gina's been really, really chill and cool. She's really just let us do what we want with her hair. And she's really taken this on board. She's super brave in doing this because she did not know me before about a week ago. And now she has let me bleach and shave her hair. So that's brilliant, right? And all of that trust, rather, that she's put in me has come from me inviting her into my salon, meeting my team, meeting our people. We sit down, we vibe together, we work out what we're going to do, and we get a feeling. And it always works on a feeling. So you'll see now, coming back to the haircut, I can't bring any more hair over. This is too short in the centre. That's not coming over. So I've done my layering. I've already started to connect that through. And you can start to see just there in the silhouette, as I pull it away, it's connecting. So now what I want to do is I want to work through this back area and through here, and I want to start to connect that crown through as well, because that's way too long. I don't want that sticking out. This is not like some kind of haircut that's kind of based on any kind of punk ideals. I want it to be a beautiful haircut. I want people to go, wow, that is amazing. So through this back bit here, I hope you can all see this. I'm just going to have a little check-in. What have we got here? Excellent. So, let's have a little check-in. I can see you all guys there. Hello to everyone out there on platform land. Now what I'm going to do with this area, just so you can all see it. So this was our original section through the top here, and this was where it was cut off at the back. So you can see there's still a lot of length through there. Now I want to start to retain that. So I'm going to be taking parallel sections to the original section. So slightly deeper on Gina's right-hand side to slightly shallower on her left-hand side. Now this time, the difference is you can just see that in there. I'm going to lift this up and connect it to this previous section. And I'm going to go straight across. So you can see across there, come in, and I cut straight across. And then I lift each section up subsequently to meet that section. So again, we've got a very simple, straight, square layer working on here. Complicated, beautiful, technical haircuts don't need to actually be complicated. They just need to be done with really, really good, thoughtful execution. And you get that, and you can start to see we're softening this whole area out here. That's what we're working on this evening. And you can see that colour as well. It's looking beautiful, even wet. So what I'm really looking for now is I'm just watching Gina's silhouette, and I'm just trying to get an idea for it. So we've still got a lot of length in this crown, so I really want to bring that down. So the way that I want to bring that down is I'm having a look, how is she going to wear it? Well, I can see it's going to stick up because obviously that's her crown area. So rather than shying away from that and adding length and weight to it to try and hammer it down, I'm letting it do its thing. And I want it to build into length on this side of the hair. You can see through the back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue layering round until I get to around here. And then I am going to connect this through on this side as well. Let's see if we can't do that in front of the camera for you. So on this side, so you should be able to see. Thank you, Gina. So first off, I'm going to set my limit. My limit will be connecting this back layer into the front. So I bring that all the way across and I cut it all off. So it's gone. So that works as my guide length. It's my limit to where I want my layering to be. I don't want it to be shorter than that, but I want it to be longer in the center. So I'm just now taking vertical sections right to the center. I can see where that needs to come off. So beginning to connect that through. And then Gina's just going to have her head down for me so we can see that in the mirror there. We're really starting to build just a really strong silhouette. So far, super easy. Really, really standard, simple techniques that are time tested and work really well. And let's have a little look closer up. You can see all of that has now come away. Gina's just going to get her head down for me, just so we can see in the screen. You can see all of that has come away. And that's loads of the haircut done, really. So now we're going to start to work through the top and the front. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on just beginning to layer on this side of Gina's hair as well. Now I'm going to leave this area disconnected at the front that you can see here, and I'm going to connect this area. So we connected the right hand side, as you remember, and now we're going to connect this left hand side. And the way I'm going to do that is using the guide from the right. So we've got this short area in the top center at the front. I'm going to bring that over in horizontal sections, if you like, through the top of the head, working that original long rectangular piece that's in there that you can see. So it's going to go further forwards on the left hand side. That's a really important part to this. So there is an internal asymmetry. So externally, this is going to look symmetrical. Internally, there's an asymmetry. So it is shorter on this side, and it will be shorter on this side, but underneath with more weight focused on this area on the left-hand side of the haircut. So what I'm going to do is bring that over to the side, and then lift it straight out as I did before. I don't want to take sections that are too thick. I want to be mindful that the more I grab, the more I'm going to over-direct sections in, and I'm just going to create quite a lumpy line. So the thinner the section, the more accurate and precise I can be, and the less need to work a lot of corrective techniques at the end of the haircut. What you'll notice, or you may not be able to see on this video that I'm doing, is I'm also over-directing each section back to the previous section. What that allows is for there to be just a very small amount of length building up at the front as this begins to come back. That will feed into the disconnection internally whilst leaving a really nice strong line at the front. It'll make a lot more sense if I haven't already done so when you see it at the end. So what I'm doing here is I'm just moving my comb through the hair so I can really get an idea of what's going on in that silhouette. And you can start to see here, we're building up weight and that silhouette all through this side. So it looks a little bit squarer on this side and a little bit rounder on this side. So I'm just employing some scissor over comb technique here, really classic technique. Lots of people overlook this now for using clippers, and I absolutely do also use professional clippers as well. They're a really integral part of my hairdressing here at the studio hair salon. But at the same time, when I'm working on longer hair, and I don't like to use guards, if I'm honest, that's just my personal preference. There's nothing wrong with using them. I use the clippers with a comb, or I do scissor over comb. It's just based on my original discipline. I find when I work with scissors, I can really shape that barbered section into the haircut. And you start to discover things about the haircut as well. I can go deep in and I can bring that weight out and I can follow that line in. You can do that with clippers as well, absolutely. I find I have a bit more control, and it could just be based on how I feel about hairdressing. I find I can have a lot more control with the scissors. But absolutely, this was pre-done with clippers around here. Now, in here, what I've decided I want to do is I want this area to go quite a bit shorter in there. So when this hair sits over the top, you're going to have an area for that hair to sit into rather than bumping out over that shave bit. And as you can see from her previous haircut, which I didn't do, they went really high with that already. So I just want to begin to accentuate that in a little bit more whilst keeping that connected and longer. So I'm just going to work my scissor over comb through this area here. So I start looking with my scissor over comb for Gina here. It grows slightly back, so I'm actually going to go against that grain, if you like. You can go up and straight through, but you're just going to be constantly bitting all the way through. Whereas if I start behind and just above the ear, and then I work my way forward methodically. A lot of disciplines when you're working in scissor over comb, especially if you're just starting out in scissor over comb, they'll tell you to use the wide teeth of the comb, and that's absolutely correct. It gives you really low amount of tension, so you can be really working on that technique and consistent. I do cheat and I switch to the finer side of the comb to create more tension, especially with anything that is more coarser, thicker hair that can stick out more and is a lot straighter, so it's less soft, and I can just get a little bit more tension. Over time, you learn what works best for you, and you employ all of the necessary techniques and any kind of advancements that you get on that, on the haircuts that work for you. So I'm just lifting this up. I'm using my mirror to have a look at that. I don't know if Gina can see any of that at all. It looks great if you can't. Just a little bit more water. So what I've done, in case you're wondering, I have switched to larger, straighter scissors for my scissor over comb. I tend to use a much smaller scissor when I'm working on my regular section cutting. I find a nice, long, straight blade just really helps with scissor over comb. And then now, when this hair comes over the top, you should be able to see that externally, this will balance in a lot more. So although there's going to be more weight sitting here and more hair sitting here, externally this silhouette will appear symmetrical. And that's what I wanted to do. Now, coming back to the rest of this. So through here, I'm just going to see if you guys can see that. I really want to work this in. So I think that needs to be tighter on this side a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and work my scissor over comb again and really taper that in now, okay? So I'm going to have it this way because you won't be able to see it yet, but what I will do is I will show you as I'm finishing up. So while I'm doing this, it's a bit boring, just seeing the other side of the head while I'm cutting, I'll let you in on a bit of how I kind of came up with this haircut. So the first thing I did, obviously, so I saw Gina and I thought, that is an amazing haircut. Really. She had a really cool mohawk, but it wasn't cut how I would do it, obviously. But I already started to see she had a haircut that already suited her cheekbones, her face shape, her silhouette, her style as well. She's got a really cool individual style. She's got piercings, she's got tattoos, she's really beautiful, and everything just combines together well. So my first thought was, well, she's already pretty much got the style that works for her. How can I improve on that? So after convincing her to come into the salon, I spent a little bit of time just moving her hair around, having a little look at what's going on with the little foibles, where the crown is, what's going on with the hairline here, where we found this little cowslick going on there as well. And I just like to move the hair around and just kind of have a play. I don't really use too much in the way of looking at pictures for inspiration. I like to kind of move the hair around and see what's working for me. So in this regard, I realised a few things. First off, when you're doing a mohawk of any kind, my big thing for me is I don't want it to look like it's a kind of a student-y cut or something that somebody's done on a bit of a whim with their mates. They've just taken the clippers, they've just removed the sides, left the top, and taken some kitchen scissors to the top. And I feel sometimes when we do really aggressive mohawks and really aggressive haircuts, they can look a little bit slapdash, a little bit DIY, and they don't really have that beautiful tailored finish that we expect from a professional hairdressing service. So I look to where I can begin to introduce that beautiful tailored finish. So one part is in really understanding and playing with where I want that disconnection to be, where I don't want that disconnection to be, and where I can watch where the hair moves around. So that's really, really important for me here. So what I've decided is through this central crown area here, I'm going to be removing the disconnection, and I'm going to be reintroducing that as a stronger disconnection through this front fringe area. And this here, this is Gina's haircut. This is her haircut here. What we do back here will look great, will look technical, she'll love it, but this is Gina's haircut here. This is what she's going to see every morning, every day when she wakes up. Make this as beautiful and as perfect as you can. Obviously, work all of that all the way through the haircut, but be mindful that a lot of hairdressers spend their time on this part of the haircut. And this part of the haircut's great for you and me and for everybody that she's walking in front of, but it's not so great for Gina. She doesn't see it a lot. She'll see this bit all the time. So now we're starting to open this area up. You can see I'm really starting to understand what I want to do with this. I want to take this a little bit shorter in this front bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work forward diagonal sections that I'm going to over direct back into this previous section that I connected to the scissor over combed area, so that I can create a connection between these 2 points whilst leaving length in the centre. So first of all, I'm going to work a little bit of scissor over comb here, and going back to my idea for Gina's haircut is I'm not going to change it drastically. The reality is she walked in with kind of a mohawk and she's going to walk out with kind of a mohawk. The difference is it's going to be a beautiful, tailored, high-end, distinctive and individual mohawk for her. Whereas what she had before was a nice mohawk, and you know, from across the street it really grabs your eye, obviously, but I want this to be a lot more refined. I think Gina really does want this to be more refined herself as well. When she goes into a salon, when she goes into a men's hair salon or barber shop and wants that tapered fade that she feels like they can give her, what she's really saying is, make me feel special, make this feel amazing. And then what she walks out with is a mohawk. She goes, it looks pretty cool, it's a bit of fun, but it doesn't feel super special. And what happens then is she begins to lose a little bit of faith in a professional's ability to deliver something that she couldn't have done herself at home. And that's bad for all of us. So we've got to take that extra time, even when it doesn't look like we're going to be changing a great deal, to make sure we are bringing all of our skill sets to the table on every haircut and making sure that they know and they understand that what they are getting is something truly unique and tailored to them. So you see here, I'm bringing this back. I might be a little bit in front of the camera now, so you might not be able to see. And I'm cutting up. I'm going to swap my scissors over for my smaller scissors that are offset, so I can work a little bit more fine detailing. Take a little bit more hair. I begin to bring that back again. And over direct that round. And instantly you start to see that lift up and then that drop quite sharply down. We're creating that really beautiful silhouette and that internal asymmetry through here. So I'm going to carry on working a little bit more on this. Everything I'm doing here, there's no real fancy techniques. These are all classic techniques. You have scissor over comb, clipper over comb. You have basic club cutting techniques working with round and square layering and classic over direction, to create length and to create areas of separation. What I'm doing is I'm working what I like to think is much like a tailor, and I'm seeing areas and going, that's a bit too baggy, that's a bit too heavy. I want to start to bring that down. This isn't looking right with that, how can I change that? So a lot of it is kind of on the fly, but I have a plan in my head, believe it or not. And I'm sticking to the basic principles of my aesthetic, which is that I want to create a much more tailored level of disconnection and connection, and a blend of strength and what I think is beauty and softness as well. And all of it can exist in the same haircut. You've just got to choose your levels. So this is still a bit too long for me where I've over-directed it back, so I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to point cut into that length. You notice my fingers raise up. When my fingers raise up, it means it's going to be longer in the centre at the front. So I lift away from the head shape. I don't follow the head shape round. So this can sometimes be called anti-shape, where you're doing the exact opposite to the way the hair flows around the head. And I'm just going to bring in a little bit more hair, just so it doesn't look like I was a mistake, like it was meant to be. I'm using a soft point cutting technique onto the wet hair. One blade stays on one finger and then the other blade moves. I don't go in and take big chunks of it out like that. That's not my style. Switch again to my nice scissor over comb scissors. Work through. She's been real sport here. She's got loads of hair on her face and she's been really itchy. And I've just remembered that. So now I'm getting rid of all that hair. So it's starting to build up. Now let's just move around. I'm just going to have a little look. My mirror's in front of me. So you can really start to see that build up. So you've got this connection, but you've also got it quite soft as well. You've got a nice fur-like texture. There's been no thinning scissors used on that yet. I may not even need to use them. I'll see how I feel at the end when I see the whole look together. And I've got this nice bit of length in here. Now I'm having a look. I want you guys to see that. We're not there yet. It's still too long in this crown area. So I'm going to work on that bit now. So what I'm going to do is, using my crown as my guide length, I'm going to over-direct everything back to that crown. So it builds out. So there may still be length in there, but it's all going to connect through to this area. So I work out the spiral pattern. I can see it there. You can see that. And I use that, what I call like a softer point cutting technique, where one blade stays on one finger and there's the other blade that cuts in. It gives me a softer line, but it doesn't create deep point cutting into the hair, which will just, remove weight and will still leave some bits of length sticking through, which I don't want. I want to control the length at every level in this haircut. So again, my fingers go outward and away from the hair, and that creates that anti-shade look. Start to see what's going on here. Can you guys see that? Still a bit long through this area here, so I'm just going to work in this mid-band now. Again, the same principle. I'm going back to that crown area, so if you guys can see a little bit of this. My working needs to be a little bit better. And we're nearly done. You guys have been really patient. Thank you for hanging out if you're all still there. I'm working my fingers back and away. Seeing how you guys can see that. Oh no, sorry, my arm's going to be in the way. Sorry guys, you just have to see when I'm done. Now that is much better. So to really build out a consistent silhouette. Okay, so now I want to work on the rest of the haircut dry. So I'm going to dry it. Just go in here and find my hairdryer. Really simply for this, guys, I'm not going to use any product. I really just want to feel what the natural hair texture is doing. And then I'm going to work in with some finishing techniques for personalisation. If you can still hear me, I'm using my nozzle on my hairdryer and I'm flattening the shape over. I'm manipulating my hot go. I use my comb to get a good amount of tension. And I can work through and over. Where I want to lift up, I'm using it to push that hair into place. Work a little bit going opposite, the way that I want the hair to lie, just to make sure I lift it away from the root a little bit. So I have some movement in there. I don't want to fool myself into thinking the hair only sits a certain way, then cutting that, realising when Gina goes to blow dry her own hair tomorrow or the next day, there's something missing, something's not right. So as I'm heating the hair up, the cuticle is swelling. It's making the hair a little bit denser, a little bit thicker to go through. This is when I start to really think about where I want to remove weight, where I want there to be more movement, and where I want to refine that finish. So I'm really loving that I've incorporated this hairline into the work. And on this side, you can see here, you've got a really nice disconnection forming. Super strong, but super beautiful in my opinion. Right. So now, without straightening, and the only reason I'm not going to straighten is I don't really need to straighten yet with Gina's hair, but also I really want the hair to be exactly how she's going to see it. I can straighten this and get the cuticle really nice and flat, and I can just point cut it until, well, to oblivion, until there's almost no hair left. But it's not giving me a realistic impression of what's going on. So I'm going deep and parallel with my point cutting. When I'm working on more crop styles, I tend to rest one blade on my finger and I use the other blade and I just work through methodically. I don't want to be removing length. I'm not trying to rub out mistakes. I'm just trying to get the texture to be much softer, much more fur-like, if you like. So when you see fur or faux fur on jackets, what it tends to be is actually two separate lengths. You have your shorter length, then you have your longer length in that fur. That's what gives it that real soft appeal. So although it looks very spiky, you can get your hands through it. That's what I want to create here, is two separate lengths, but I don't want them to be visible on appearance. It's more about how it moves and interacts. So to do that, I go for what can be known as parallel point cutting. I'm not looking to take chunks out of the hair. I'm refining that texture. Oh, police slice. And you see again, I'm just using my straighter scissors, my longer blade. One blade stays against the finger and the other blade moves. I can be really, really methodical with this. I can even do it without looking. Isn't that right? Just tinkle in the nose. She's got loads of hair in her eyebrow. Are you about to sneeze? You right?
Okay.
You're good. Gina's going to hold this brush, and when she needs to use it, you can see the brush appear, because this is when it gets very itchy and tickly for her. Now, we can spend ages on this refining technique. Don't worry, we're not going to. But we're going to be finishing up the style very shortly. So you can see here, I'm just really moving the hair around, seeing what's going on with it. Hopefully, you can expect a lot more of this kind of stuff on here. This is about really diving deep, working with hair, sharing your love, your passion for your craft, and understanding how you can bring all of that into a realistic setting. Not just think that all of this stuff goes on when the salon's closed. This is absolutely what my paying clients will come and ask for. And they'll do that because I've built that in my community, because I'm known for doing these kind of haircuts. I do all the other kind of haircuts as well, but I do these. And the people who want these haircuts find out that this is what I do, and therefore I can do these on a regular work day very easily. And everyone enjoys the process. Nobody gets bored. Nobody gets kind of, a little bit shall we say, kind of uninspired and disenchanted with their work. Clients love it. I love doing this. And everybody wins. So here I'm switching back to scissor over comb. I'm just refining, working through. Got a little bit of disconnection you can see there, that weight. Now this is a really cool sign. I haven't showed you guys this much at all yet. But look at that. That is really, really lovely. You've got a shadow from the violet working through. You've got a much squarer tapered edge working through there. So you've got that kind of fade, much heavier on this side. And then where we went in and higher with the scissor over comb, you can see them there, and then the long hair sits over the top. We create this really soft, beautiful image through that. So to finish this off, what I'm going to do is I am going to very quickly put the straighteners through the very ends, and I'm going to dress this out, and you're going to see it in about 5 minutes. So we're finishing off here. Now here I do want to just get the fuzziness out of the hair, but I don't really want to manipulate the texture too much. I just want it to have a much nicer shine and just have that expert finish to it. That's what I really want to do with that. I don't think it needs any more. We can sometimes be in danger of doing too much. It's really easy to do that. We fall in love with our haircuts and we just want to keep going. But sometimes you just got to know when to stop. I will be using some texture scissors just to begin to work a scissor over comb. And just, I work very much gliding them over the surface. And like I say, the issue is I just want to create a much softer surface texture only. I'm not looking to rub out mistakes. I think there's a big misconception with texture scissors. For a start, they're called thinning scissors, which they're not. They're texture scissors. They're designed to add texture, not rub out mistakes. These work really well with anything that's heavily barbered, because they can really create that uniformity. But it doesn't mean you can be lazy. They're never about an excuse to be lazy. It just gives that much softer, cleaner finish to the hair. And here we are, guys. So now, just a quick recap. We've worked a central panel through here. We have connected this panel to the sides after we had used the clippers just to create a bit of a fade around the hairline, and then scissor over combed in. We disconnected the panel through the front. We saw the length there. I noticed that Gina had a little bit of a cow's lick there, so I wanted to work that in and incorporate that into the look. Here I'm doing point cutting under comb just to soften that look in even more. And then we've left this length in. This is exactly what she came to the salon with today. I haven't cut that at all on this end. Through this side, clipper, scissor over comb. We went really high with that underneath her hairline, and then we allowed that length to sit over the top. And you can see that nice disconnection in the colour working there. So you have a real deep violet going into just a soft lilac through the top. And this is the bit that her hair can move around in. And then at the back, we've pretty much mostly left the mohawk, but kept it a lot softer. that silhouette. We've carried on layering. We've over-directed all the layering back to her crown, which is here. And then that's given us that really nice, soft texture through the back. And just to finish off, let's get rid of all of this. I'm just going to use a little bit of shine spray and some Sebastian craft clay. So I'm just going in with a nice high gloss first of all. I think people don't do this enough. They always think that when they're doing textured looks that they should go in with something mattifying. But actually, look at that, just against the lights. You can really see, you can go to town with this stuff. I absolutely love it. It's got 0 hold in it. It's the dark oil spray by Sebastian, and I really love this stuff.
It smells so good.
It smells amazing. You're not going to get that. We don't have smell-o-vision just yet. But be sure, when it comes out, it'll be here first. And then I've got my craft clay, which is my staple for any kind of thick textured hair. Get that on our hands. And this is just a clean way of making hair dirty. So when hair looks a day old from being on holiday, and you're like, wow, my hair looks amazing, that's what this product does. So you can be a little bit more aggressive in getting it and using that whole hand, really coating the hair. Working that through. And I'm just using the mirror. Use your mirror as well, guys. Too many people don't use their mirrors when working in the salon. It's just as important a tool as all the others. And remember, your client's been using the mirror the whole time you've been using your scissors. So they've been watching you whilst you've been watching the back of their heads. So just work along. Leave that bit down. Let's have a little look in the camera. And there is our finished look. And thank you very much. Just like that, we got ourselves a new look. So guys, I'm going to leave that here. One more little spin just for the camera so you can see all of what we've done. Gina's head's going to come forward a little bit just to show us. And then all the way through here, we've got this lovely exaggerated length at the front. It is disconnected, but it softly works in with connection. We've got internal asymmetry. We've worked with her hair texture and her hairline and the small areas where she has her crown and the calves neck at the front. And we've worked loads of classic techniques and delivered a really cool, unique, one-of-a-kind style. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope to see you on platform soon.